What are you willing to turn your back on in order to please God? Who are you willing to disappoint in order to be in God's plan for your life? God has presented you with the privilege to take a decision. And it's unfortunate that most of us, when God presents us with the privilege to take a decision, we rather please people than please God. And there is always a defining moment in the life of everyone that heaven pauses and observes you. You see, when Job was being tested, he didn't know he was being tested. My brother Job, he didn't know he was being tested. And when a teacher sets an examination, he keeps quiet. When God gives you an examination, he keeps quiet. You might be asking him questions, he keeps quiet. I remember some years ago, in my final year in the university back in Africa, that the professor gave us a question in our final exam, and that was just one question. And everybody in the hall, in the examination hall, some people were crying because this is our final exam. And I felt, because I was close to the professor, I was close to him. I think he was one of those that recommended my poetry. I published a book I published some poetry when I was in the university, and it was recommended for the students. So I felt like he was a poet and I'm a poet, so we knew each other. We communicate somehow. So I felt I could ask him a question. I felt I was familiar, I was connected with him. So I raised up my hand in the examination hall to ask him a question, and he ignored me. He didn't answer me. I was disappointed. I felt bad. When a teacher gives you an exam, he keeps quiet. And there are some of you that, God has given you an examination and God has kept quiet, expecting you to pass your examination. Heaven has given you a test and heaven has paused and focused its light and cameras on you, observing you to take a decision. I want to tell you that integrity is who you are when nobody's watching you. Integrity is who you are when the light goes off. That is who you are. Whatever happens when nobody's watching, whatever happens when the light goes off, is who you are in a dark room. Some years ago, I had a defining moment in my life. I would say it's a defining moment. I was the lead pastor or the lead minister in my church then. I was preaching on Sunday morning. Every service I was the one to preach. And I was also working. I had a job by the side. And one day, my administrator or the DON, the person in charge of my facility, she called me into her office and she said something to me. She said, I would like you to start working on a Sunday morning. She said, from today, I will schedule you to work on a Sunday morning. And I love God. And when she said that, I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I cannot work on a Sunday morning. She said, why? I said, because I have to be in church. I have to be in church on a Sunday morning. She said, well, that is the only opportunity I have. That's the only opening I have at this moment. I'm sorry, I have to change your schedule because we need someone to work on a Sunday morning. I told her, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. And I turned my back and I left that job. I didn't have a second job at that moment. I have bills to pay. I had bills to pay, had to pay my house rent, had families in Nigeria to take care of. But I stood up and I walked out of our office without knowing where I was going. It was a defining moment in my life. But I love God more than I love my job. I love God more than I love myself. I love God more than I love money. I love God more than I love everything. I love God more than I love my family. God is more important to me than my breath. I left that job. When I left that job, God gave me a better offer. I want to ask you a question. What are you willing to turn your back on in order to please God? Who are you willing to turn your back on in order to be in God's plan for your life? I just felt like asking you this question. Are you still living to please people? Are you still living to impress people? Are you still living to impress people? People are more important to you than God? Let me shock you before I end this video, because I don't want it to be long. You see, you spend the money you don't have to buy what you don't need, to impress people who don't even care about you, who don't love you. People don't care about you. They don't care. Why are you trying to impress people? Why are you trying to compromise your faith in order to please them? Why? Are you trying to please people against God's will for your life? Let me ask you this question again. Who you are behind closed doors is your real person. And the question is, who are you behind closed doors? And who are you when the light goes off? Can God trust you? When God gives you an examination, can he trust you? Joseph said to the wife of Potiphar, when the wife of Potiphar presented him with an attractive offer, a beautiful offer, sleep with me and I will promote you. Just sleep with me and I will promote you. Joseph said something. He said, how can I do such wickedness and sin against God? He was willing to go to the prison. But God remembered him. What you are willing to turn your back on will determine what God will bring to you. What you are willing to turn your back on will determine who God will bring to you. So whatever you are doing behind closed doors, just know that heaven is observing you. And somehow it will re-echo in the future. Integrity is who you are when the light goes off. Are you willing to turn your back on people to please God and to do his will? My name is Emmanuel. I love you. This is The Secret Place TV. I have to go to sleep. I'm sleepy.
The Secret Place. The Secret Place. The Secret Place.